One place on Oahu selling fireworks. Really? How could that be? Maybe we're over it. I do know there's going to be some extremely interesting fireworks displays. You know, they say, leave it to the experts. I find it interesting that it used to be every single place, every corner, there was a stand selling firecrackers. So I guess in many ways we're over it, right? We've healed ourselves. Because I saw this story today and I thought, wow, that's interesting. One place to buy firecracker. You think? But of course, the guy's in Chinatown. Didn't they invent the things in the first place? They invented gunpowder. Well, in any case, we got this great deal going. And so a lot of you, there's going to be some illegal stuff going on. And, your backyard will sound like, How would you like it if your backyard sounded like that all the time? And that is why, as we celebrate this Independence Day, 4th of July, realizing how blessed we are, there are some parts of the world that aren't quite as blessed. And I received my regular update from the Missile Defense Advocacy Alliance the other day. And it was called 10,000 incoming. And I thought, wow, that's like a big day at Kapiolani Park. No, this is more serious. 10,000 incoming rockets. We're going to learn a little bit about what's happening in Israel with this dome that you've heard about before. And to join us, he's just returned from a trip back there. I'm not sure he brought us any bagels or anything. But Riki Ellison is joining us on this Aloha Friday. Happy Independence Weekend, Riki. Good morning.
Aloha, Mike.
You were saying shalom instead of aloha the other day, right? I mean, back again from Israel. I don't think, isn't it sort of interesting? You take a look at, here we are on the eve of celebration of this 4th of July Independence Day and the fireworks what about fireworks in your neighborhood every day like those folks go through there?
They're still fighting for their independence. There's still groups and countries challenging their independence of Israel. So they are fully guarded up. There's no other place in the world that's getting attacked like that place is on a daily basis. And
they're such good friends of ours, and sometimes it's been said lately that we are not treating Israel the way we should. What was the purpose of your trip, and more importantly, maybe you can explain to everybody how effective this dome thing is for them?
Yeah, I go there regularly to help them with their missile defense education, and I was invited by the government to speak on missile defense. And I have a great relationship with all of them on the systems that are being developed, because the United States is funding primarily most of the systems. We put $3 billion of tax dollars over the last 9 years into Israel. So with that money, they've built a new technology that we haven't built or we haven't fielded, because the need for survival is so strong, and they've got some very smart minds there and engineers, and they've developed a system that can protect mortars, rockets,
small missiles. Stuff. Yeah, all the small stuff.
Small stuff from about 60 miles in. So 60 miles in, and it's coming from the Gaza Strip, obviously, coming from southern Lebanon and Syria into their country. So they're able to handpick, their systems are so good that they can handpick which of these missiles and rockets and mortars are going to actually hit a specific group of people or building that they want to secure, and the ones that can't, they let go. So they can figure that out very quickly, and they're able to put a missile up, called a Tamir missile, and can get very close to the incoming, and they explode with the explosive device that takes that out. I think you've seen it. You've seen on videos. There's over 1,500 intercepts so far in that layer. But that's just the first layer that they're building. We're helping them build the next layer, which is the David Sling, which is going to be higher than 60 and going up to altitude a little bit, so they can protect against more sophisticated missiles. And there's 2 more layers that we're helping them with to go all the way into space.
You know what I think is interesting, Riki, is that we take for granted the massive amount of success after a lot of experimentation and failure at Barking Sands on Kauai. Isn't it sort of interesting is what's happening there is every day, and it's not test, it's real. But the benefit is, the takeaway that I get is because of the need of the protection that they have in that part of the world, we're all learning something. And they're going through all the expectations and the experimentation. We benefit later on from all of it. For the one of a
well, we're not there yet. We're not sharing that technology. That's the amazing thing right now. We've invested in it, but we have not been able. And that's some foreign disclosure, and Israel not wanting to, and U.S. not wanting to. We've got to be able to get that investment, in their type of weapons, and being able to help us.
That's
when we have to defend our forward operating bases, and when we're overseas, that can protect. Luckily, none of our cities are like that right now.
Yeah.
But our forts and our bases that are in Afghanistan are like that. So there's some similarities that we need to be able to use on both sides of the picture here to help.
It is so difficult. It's so difficult to let homeowners that are thinking about going to the ATM machine today to get their goodies for the week, 4th of July, that there's some people that worry about getting shot on the way to work.
Yeah, but let me just clear that one up, because I was just at Tel Aviv last week, and Tel Aviv can rival Honolulu. I'm telling you, their beach and what they've done in their development, it's better than Manhattan Beach. It's better than Hermosa Beach. It's one of the best beaches in the world. And they're doing it, and they're investing in it because they got protection now.
Exactly.
They're not worried about their buildings or the people getting hurt at all. So you're seeing lots of investment. And the last couple of years, it's been amazing.
It's a big
People
turnaround.
aren't afraid. They're not afraid of the rocket attacks anymore because they've got systems that take them out. So it's really pretty unique that you can see an economy thrive like this with that defensive shield that they've got put in place.
It's only by going to places like that you've done so often that you can share that, because a lot of people have certain, impressions of that part of the world. They see that, they see a war-torn suburb and they think the whole country looks like that. Israel's a beautiful place.
Yeah, that's as good as Monaco. It's as good as one of the best beaches in the world. Tel Aviv is right now. So, Sadat, which is lower down right next to Gaza, is not Tel Aviv.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there's much more confidence with the general population that they've got a system now that can defeat and defend themselves and keep them out of harm's way.
I'm always blown away at the resilience of the people in that part of the world that insist on maintaining their position and educating their kids and protecting themselves, and all they want is their little corner of the world. They're not asking for anything. They're just leave them alone.
Yeah, it's pretty complex there, though, because
Yeah.
you've got refugee camps, the most in the world, and I think 27 of them that are inside Israel. So it is a very complex place. It's not one clean country with no, what I'm saying? So you've got spots and so forth on it. And they're trying to resolve it. And I think, by providing peace and not having people disrupt it by weaponizing it or trying to intimidate or trying to change it, it'll eventually become one at some point.
Yeah, and the real question that I always like to ask you when you come back from there is that, we have this, I don't want to say a love-hate relationship, but sometimes, we have trouble trying to understand how come our government isn't embracing these folks a little bit more than it is from time to time. I'm not sure that our ongoing relationships are as good as they can be right now, and I hope that changes.
They're not. The presidents of both countries probably have the worst relationship of any time in the history of Israel. So there's and it starts with the top. It doesn't start at the bottom. It starts at the top. So that relationship, and again, a lot of things happened here because our president went and did a deal with Iran,
which is a terrible deal.
Which offended the Israelis. But you got to also give our president a little kudos, because I think he's looking at a different approach, and it may not work, but it may work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where we can influx and try and bring them back into Western society without them and being a changed nation to some extent in terms of sparking a new way with investment that they can look at. That's the hope. But again, that's fueling Israel's number one enemy too. So that's the issue that's at hand. And that's what our president did. But just also note that he also invested, $1.3 billion for those Iron Dome batteries.
Exactly.
They wouldn't have those
without
President Obama giving them that funding to do that.
If anything, that's the only good thing, in my opinion, because I do know that what we're being told is, look, we have a set of rules that we all operate by, sort of in the West. In other parts of the world, rules mean nothing. I mean, they have their own agenda, and they don't care about rules. They'll say anything you want to get what they want.
Right, and that's why it's important for our country to invest in Israel, so they can self-defend themselves without us. So that they need to be completely independent, like a sovereign nation. They need to be able to defend themselves with their own stuff, because we've got too much stuff we've got to do around the world.
Heaven knows we got our own. We've got our own honey-do list.
Defending our own country and defending Hawaii right now, we've got to do that with our resources and not have to deal with it and use precious resources to help that country. So that's the concept behind it. But I'm going to go back to you. You've got North Korea just fired 2 more shots last week, successful shots, and they are continuing to be able to get that capability to strike. And they've got 23 nuclear weapons now. So I'm concerned about, not concerned about Israel. I'm concerned about right where you're at.
Yep.
Right there is where you've got a gap. There's a gap right now, and you're living in a high-risk situation until we fill that gap.
Well, as you know, right now, as we speak, we're in RIMPAC. And this is the most important RIMPAC maybe ever, recognizing that very threat that you talk about, this guy in North Korea that has got his own agenda, who knows what it is. But we have all these nations here, Ricky, right now as we speak, doing this RIMPAC exercise, and talk about that. That is and this is the only place in the world where you can hold that sort of an exercise.
No, it's spectacular bringing the Pacific together there as one group, and both sharing information and showing information to help that. And I think, as you know, one of the most important people there are the Chinese.
Yeah,
and they need to see it. They need to see the power and the collection of allies and the depth of what we've got.
Somebody called yesterday, Ricky, with exactly that comment, and really underlined and underscored it, because here you can show the potential enemies, look, not only do we have all of these assets, but they know how to talk to each other and work with each other. In other words, we are a united front against any incursion of any kind.
Absolutely. I want to tell you what else happened there that I don't think many people know, is this week we had the Japanese and the Koreans and the Americans work together on an exercise up at PRMF with their 3 ships to identify and work together to shoot down a ballistic missile.
Yeah, I love that.
So they targeted. They didn't shoot down, but they targeted. But you know how challenging that is to have the Koreans and the Japanese work together? This is remarkable. And the United States did this. This is I think, more important than the entire RIMPAC.
It's like putting a couple of wild cats in a bag, expecting them to get along with each other. Boy, oh boy.
So that's significant on it. Yeah. But I go back to the Pacific. China is a major player, and is probably the only one that can influence North Korea. The rest of us can't. We've tried. We've tried United Nations resolutions. We've tried policies. We've tried, sanctions. We have not stopped this guy. This guy's continuing to go.
That
and
is
the
my
only
story.
Guy is that can stop him is the Chinese.
Yeah, my only reason, and I agree with that to the point where he doesn't seem to be listening to him right now, for sure. But when they see the capabilities we have, they can go back to this guy and say, hey, look, you're barking up the wrong tree here. These guys are going to snuff you if you try anything on them.
Yeah. But what I'm going to tell you is I think those capabilities they're seeing today in Pearl Harbor, we need to put those capabilities right in Japan, right in Okinawa, right in Korea. So the Chinese want those capabilities. They want them way out here in Hawaii. We put them in their backyard because we got to deal with the North Korean guy. They're going to change their attitude to the North Korean guy because they're not going to want U.S. proliferation of that kind of capability in their backyard.
I was going to say, isn't it kind of neat, Ricky, that we can reflect on these ideas and these concerns on a very special time in our country's history this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at our country, let's go back 200 years ago, we had the coastal defense. You had coastal defense.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what coastal defense is? That's the artillery. That is the defense of the homeland. And we had to have that to have an independent country.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, there's a couple of TV specials on PBS this week about the old look of Waikiki and Diamond Head and other places with gun emplacements and these big cannons that were going to repel the tide in, and we dodged that bullet. But now they don't have to send ships.
But Mike, your new stuff is in PRMF.
Yeah.
That's what's protecting all of Hawaii. That's what can protect all of Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly.
Much more sophisticated and hundreds of miles away. Or they can protect way away from you. You've got to get that place. I mean, we haven't got it operational yet.
Yeah.
I know we're working on it, but we got to get that thing up and running.
Yeah, we want our stuff. That's the bottom line here. Anyway, Ricky, it's always good to hook up, but particularly at a time when we take a look at this country of ours, this young country, and how quickly it has become and still is the world's greatest power.
It is, and you're there at the greatest time, being able to show that great history to all those Pacific allies that are there at the REMPAC. So,
happy 4th of July to Abel and all of your people at MDAA, and I hope that we see you soon.
Thank you, Mike.
Aloha, Ricky.
Hello.
There you go, Riki Ellison, the founder of the MDAA. I think you should check these guys out. I mean, really. Just go missile defense. Google missile defense, and they'll be on the top of the list. We love talking to Ricky all the time. He's got great attitude. It is Missile Defense Advocacy Alliance at missiledefenseadvocacy.org.